Hello and welcome to 3-Inning Fan, the podcast with me, Kelley Franco. Thanks for being here. The hot stove season is still only on low, like when you're sauteing your garlic before you put your tomatoes in there to make a marinara sauce. The thing is, I wish it were on high, like last week when we reverse seared our steaks. But it's just not. It'll get there, but it's going to take some time, and we have to wait. But there is still pressing MLB news that I want to cover today. We're going to talk about MLB's effort to create a national streaming package so we can view games without blackouts. That is music to my ears, and you know by now it's 70s music. And because I am the doyenne of New York baseball, we are going to talk Mets, who made a decent-sized move this week, and we're going to talk Yankees and their contingency plans for no Soto in case that arises. We will also discuss a possible new baseball rule that will plunge you into a prolonged period of anger, maybe with some anxiety and depression thrown in, because we all need more anger, depression, and anxiety. I'm here to help. But first, I've got to tell you the big news, okay? I am heading to Dallas for baseball's winter meetings this Sunday. I'll arrive on Sunday, December 8th, and the meetings are officially December 9th through 11th. And I'll be there for the whole shebang. The meetings are at the Anatole Hotel in Dallas. This is my second year at the winter meetings, and they are a trip. So, as you know, the winter meetings are where baseball GMs go to conduct all their off-season business, but it's turned into a whole industry event where you might run into players, former players, managers, former managers, owners, journalists, people involved in minor league baseball, and even guys like my friend Rick Condon, who has a company that makes championship rings. It's just where baseball business gets done. Last year, the meetings were in Nashville at the Opryland Resort, and boy, is that a huge place. I just loved the buzz there. The best part was just hanging out in the lobby or in the hotel bar after dinner. It was where you met folks and where you did your people watching, kind of like being in the belly of the beast. I can't wait to meet up with my baseball friends and also, hopefully, to have a front row seat to the signing of Juan Soto. Many people think he could make his decision during the winter meetings. So make sure you're following me on X or Instagram at 3-Inning Fan. 3 is all spelled out. Or if you're a Facebook kind of guy or gal, I'm 3-Inning Fan LLC. So you can join me every step of the way. So first, I want to take a look at changes, a possible rule change that was discussed by Commissioner Rob Manfred on John Oron's podcast a few weeks ago, as relayed by the incomparable Jason Stark of The Athletic. The Athletic is a great publication. I'm going to be talking about it today also with respect to the streaming issue. The rule change was the idea of the golden at-bat. What is this golden at-bat, you say? It's the idea that a team could, at one crucial point in the game, send up to the plate anyone that they wanted to bat instead of the regularly scheduled hitter. My crew right now is incredulous. You should see the looks on their faces. So how does this differ from a regular pinch hitter? Well, it could be anyone, even someone occupying another spot in the lineup at that moment. It could be someone that they have dragged out from the stands and are forcing to bat. Okay, no, I made that up. But it could be someone who was removed from the game earlier and maybe comes back into the game. So it could really be whatever player the manager feels would have the best chance of getting a big hit in that scenario. Let me say, I am not a crusty old lady who hates all rule changes. I love the pitch clock. I love limited timeouts. I don't mind the limited mound visits. I don't like some other things. I don't like the ghost runner and I don't like the 3-batter rule. But generally, I am open to change, okay? And the golden at bat is positively ridiculous. Pivotal moment of the game? Why send up Bucky Dent? What's a light-hitting shortstop like that ever going to do for you in a big spot? Mookie Wilson? I don't know. He only had 9 homers in 1986. Definitely sub in the golden at-bat for him and get some slugger in there, because how could any magic possibly happen with Mookie Wilson? How about Freddie Freeman? Oh, boy, guy's got a bum ankle. Forget about that. Send up someone who can at least walk, okay? So if you're not getting my sarcasm, I do not like the golden at-bat rule. By implementing a golden at-bat rule, MLB would single-handedly destroy some of the greatest moments of the game before they even happen. It would also destroy the ERA of many relievers. Is there a relievers lobby out there? Well, they should form one right now so they could lobby against this stupid rule. There was also some discussion that they could use the golden at-bat rule during the All-Star game. Well, who cares about that? They've already ruined the All-Star game, so they can go ahead and use their stupid golden at-bat there if they want. But be careful, because you know if they use it in the All-Star game, it's an audition for real games. So watch out. Let's talk about MLB's streaming package. According to Evan Drellick of The Athletic, MLB would like to create national streaming packages under which games can be offered free of local blackouts. The plan is for major streaming companies to bid on this type of package in 2028. Now, we had heard this was a plan, but it's interesting to see the details as they come out, and we get a look at the magnitude of the issues and also what the main issue will be, which will be, of course, money, 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 money. How will MLB create this streaming package? Well, first of all, before it can sell the TV and streaming rights, it has to have the rights. And they are currently spread out and have different endpoints for each club. Some of these rights currently reside with the clubs themselves. Some clubs, as you know, have their own network deals, and some have their own broadcast partners. MLB is handling broadcasting for several other teams. And MLB will end those deals where they're handling the broadcasting themselves around 2028. And then you have Diamond Sports Group. It still has 6 teams that it preserved after declaring and now emerging from bankruptcy. Those deals should end around 2028. MLB needs to have their local rights available by 2028 so that the streaming companies can bid on the packages. Right now, about 2/3 of MLB teams will have their rights available by 2028, according to Evan Drellick. Commissioner Manfred would like all of the teams to have their rights available by then. Then the streaming companies can bid on them and make up various packages for consumers. Getting all the broadcasting rights in the hands of MLB will not be easy. Manfred needs owners to agree to transfer the TV rights and also the streaming rights to MLB. And then the teams would have to agree as to how they would share the local TV income, which is not easy since obviously the TV rights of a club like the Yankees is going to be a lot more profitable than the TV rights of, say, the Reds. And so an additional enticement, and that of course means money, will be necessary for teams with larger media revenue. Hal Steinbrenner has already said that he's hoping that participation in this whole thing is optional. So he's clearly not crazy about it. If Manfred can't get the big clubs in and to get the big markets to participate, he's going to have a problem because then the streaming packages won't serve the fans and they won't be as profitable. And the owners aren't the only ones Manfred is going to have to convince. The players' union would also have to approve the deal because the players' union has a say in revenue sharing. The current collective bargaining agreement between owners and players expires at the end of 2026. So this is just another fly in the ointment that the parties will have to deal with at that time. I'm hoping a lockout isn't looming, but don't let me get ahead of myself. But spoiler alert, there's totally a lockout looming. Bottom line on this for me, I like the idea of a streaming package I can purchase if it avoids blackouts. Blackouts are a vestige of the cable era, meant to protect cable companies by forcing consumers to subscribe if they wanted to see local teams play. But blackouts are just getting way out of hand. I hear in certain parts of the country they are really oppressive. It's unfair to fans. And as for myself, here in the tri-state area, I pay about $200 a month for a cable package that includes the Yankees and the Mets. And then, honestly, I get a whole bunch of channels I don't watch. And the worst is when I sit down on a Friday night ready to watch the game, and then I realize it's not on the cable channels, and I got to hunt around and find out what streaming package it's on, and hopefully it's one I subscribe to. So if MLB can get a package up and running at a reasonable price for fans, I'm here for it. I'd be the first to cut the cord. So let's talk for a little bit about the Mets. Oh, and I have another important announcement. I'm going to be speaking at the Queens Baseball Convention this Saturday, December 7th in Queens, and I would love to meet you there. It's going to be at the 4 Points Sheraton in Queens. So yes, between the winter meetings and the Queens Baseball Convention, I got a busy week ahead. So how are the Mets doing? There was news. Okay, the main issue is Soto, and there was no news there. And I'm not going to pretend I know where he's going because I don't, and nobody else does either, and I hate when people do that. So Soto aside, the most pressing issue for the Mets is starting pitching. So the news was this. The Mets signed 31-year-old righty Frankie Montas, he'll be 32 by next year, for a 2-year deal worth $17 million a year with a player opt-out after year 1. Montas has a bit of a checkered past. He finished 6th in Cy Young voting in 2021, had a great year, but he had a combined 4.84 ERA last year over 30 starts with the Reds and then the Brewers. And then prior to last year, he was a Yankee, and at the mere mention of his name, Yankee fans will roll their eyes. Why? That's because they got him mid-season in 2022, but then he needed shoulder surgery, and he pitched only 1 game in all of 2023. So just the fact, honestly, that he started 30 games last year is an improvement. But this is definitely one of those projects that David Stearns and the pitching staff over there is going to have to work on. And it's just a classic David Stearns move because Stearns likes reclamation projects and he likes short-term deals. And Montas, I'm sure, kind of fits in both of these brackets. They gave him a short-term deal, and I think he's a reclamation project. And what I think he'd like to do, ideally, is follow in Sean Manaea's footsteps from last season. Now, Manaea had a $14.5 million deal with a player option after 1 year, after he signed with the Mets last year. He had a great season. He increased his value. He opted out. He used the player option, and now he's testing free agency, and he's going to get a lot more money. So I think Montas would love to do the same, although I have to say, I think he did all right. $17 million for a pitcher with a 4.84 ERA last season? I think that's a lot of money. So as you know, the Mets lost 3 of their starters to free agency, Manaea, Severino, and Quintana. So now their starting rotation has Senga, Peterson, McGill, and Montas. They got Paul Blackburn and Jose Butto as options for depth. But the Mets are going to need to do better than that. So I think Stearns needs at least one more starter, and a good one. And of course, the belle of the ball out there on the free agent market for pitching is Corbin Burnes, but he's only 30. And so he's going to want and get a long-term deal, probably 7 years. And if Stearns likes reclamation projects and short-term deals, Corbin Burnes is neither one of those. Not to say Stearns wouldn't sign Burnes, but Burnes just doesn't fit the profile, is what I'm saying. The most fascinating question for me about Burnes, and this is just a little bit of a deviation from New York, is I'm wondering whether the new Orioles ownership will pony up to pay to keep him because, well, you know what? Let's just talk a second about the Orioles here. The Orioles fans were very hopeful once this new ownership group came in last year, led by private equity billionaire David Rubenstein. He bought the team, and the aspiration was that they would pay to get quality players and also pay to extend their gorgeous young starters that they are starters, not just starting pitchers. I mean, they're gorgeous young prospects that they have there. That was the hope. And Orioles fans are waiting and hoping that their hopes are justified. But free agents from the Orioles include not only Burnes, but also Anthony Santander. And boy, is he a great catch. He's a switch-hitting, slugging outfielder, and any team would be lucky to have him. Do you know what the projected 2026 payroll is for active players on the Orioles? Zero. Thanks to my friend Mark at Almost Cooperstown for bringing that to my attention. Isn't that crazy? And they're going to be ARB-eligible guys, and I imagine – and there are two deferred contracts on the books for 2026. You'll get a kick out of this because one of them's Bobby Bonilla. But they haven't extended their guys or signed anyone that is currently on their books after the 2025 season. So that's kind of crazy. The Yankees. The Yankees news is pretty much just their contingency plans if they are not able to sign Juan Soto. And it's all very hypothetical at the moment, but hopefully they will get some Soto news over the next 10 days, and then the logjam of free agents can loosen up. If the Yankees can't sign Soto, they will need an outfielder, hopefully one that can play defense and hit, because they already have Giancarlo Stanton in the DH role. He's basically a full-time DH. So it's essential that they pick up someone who can play defense. And don't forget, Verdugo is a free agent too, so you really just have Aaron Judge as the regular holdover outfielder from last year. I'd love to see Anthony Santander out there. I think Cody Bellinger could be a useful trade target because he can also play first, and the Yankees need a first baseman too, so he's got some flexibility there. Jason Dominguez, remember him? Yeah, well, he didn't impress when the Yankees called him up late last season, especially defensively. But if he can continue to develop, he'll be an option. At first base, besides a trade for Bellinger, there are potential free agent signings in Christian Walker and, yes, Pete Alonso, although I honestly don't see Pete anywhere besides the Mets. The Yankees could revenge sign Pete if the Mets get Soto, but I doubt the Yankees want to pay for him. And then there's the rest of the infield, which will probably feature Jazz Chisholm moving to second base, Volpe staying at short, and then picking up someone to play third base. Maybe Adames. I don't know. I'm not crazy about him with the position change. He's a natural shortstop, as you probably know. Some people say Alex Bregman of the Astros. But let's just say the Bronx reception for Bregman could start out pretty chilly, and then he would have to work his way up from there. Of course, I'm talking about Bregman being on the cheating 2017 Astros that beat the Yankees in the ALCS by relaying their signs using trash cans. And Brian Cashman is still pretty bent up about that, and I don't blame him. I would be too. So I don't see Cashman signing Bregman, but weirder things have happened. And this process of elimination is why I think we are hearing about the Cardinals' Nolan Arenado as a possible trade piece option. The Cardinals are going through a reset, and the more mature guys could be put on the trading block so they can get younger pieces in and also just to shed salary. The Yankees also need bullpen help and maybe another starter, and there are options out there, but it's also hypothetical for now. John Mayer was waiting on the world to change, but we are waiting on Juan Soto to sign. Let's wrap it up with what's good to eat while watching the ball game or in the off season while waiting for Kelley's reports from the winter meetings. We have just completed a week of marathon eating. Let's face it, if eating were an Olympic sport, your neck would ache with the weight of that gold medal. Yes, maybe several gold medals. So if you're like me, you had 2 Thanksgivings, one with my family and one with the in-law family. And even if you didn't have 2 Thanksgivings, you probably had leftovers. And I don't want to be a buzzkill, but you're not exactly like a nutritional powerhouse for eating pie 4 nights in a row. So I thought I could highlight something from the sea to make things a little bit lighter this week. And it's one of my favorite things. It's crab cakes. I just love crab cakes. They're kind of like the meatballs of the sea, okay? Because you get to roll all this good stuff in them. Well, I'll tell you how you make them. They're great on a sandwich or with a salad. I use the recipe from a website I like quite a bit. It's called Once Upon a Chef. And her crab cakes have eggs, mayo, mustard, Worcestershire. I love anything with Worcestershire. Breadcrumbs, and of course, Old Bay seasoning and crab. And I mix up those ingredients. I fry them up in a pan, and I serve them on a giant English muffin or a brioche roll, and then a salad on the side. It's just one of these things that's so easy to make, but I just forget to make it. And I usually just have crab cakes in a restaurant. So when I make them at home, it's like I feel like I'm in a restaurant, but at home. That is it for today. Thank you so much for listening. Stay tuned for my reports from the winter meetings, and I'll see you next time.